Texas is one of the largest states in the nation, and yet only 4% of the land is considered public hunting land. This might make it very difficult if you're looking to get into public land hunting. I'm going to share some resources that have really helped me out over the years in finding these places or finding these species, and I think they might help you too. I'll go over the different types of public land that are available and also some things you want to consider as far as gear or safety. And lastly, I want to help you approach public land with the right mindset. This is not only going to lead to you being more successful, but it's also going to help boost your overall experience when it comes to public land. In Texas, there's generally 5 different types of public hunting lands. These are going to come in the forms of WMAs, Corps of Engineer properties, National Forest, National Wildlife Refuges, and lottery or draw-only type properties. Okay, so now that we know the different types of public hunting land, finding the information that we need is going to be a little bit easier. One of the biggest resources for me has been OnX Maps. I've been using it for 2 years, and it's been very useful in finding property lines, finding property owner names, and also doing a little scanning around to find public lands that aren't mentioned on agency websites. TexasBowhunter.com and TexasHuntingForum.com have been very useful to me over the years because I've been able to get insight from other hunters about properties that I hadn't even heard of, and they gave insight into the property, what you might want to look for should you decide to hunt there in the future. Federal and state agency websites are going to be very useful if you can find and navigate their pages. So I'll provide a walkthrough with screen recordings that'll show you how to navigate their pages, and I think it'll make it a little bit easier for you if you go to those websites and you're looking for that information. The website for Texas Parks and Wildlife is very organized. If you go to the public hunting section, you'll actually be able to pull up an interactive map. This map allows you to select properties that are closest to you. When you pull up that map, you'll actually be able to look at all the pertinent information to that property. You'll get to see boundary lines, key topographical features, legal game, legal methods, and dates when the WMA is actually open. In this example, I was actually able to find more information just by doing a quick Google search rather than going to the actual Corps of Engineer website. Finding information for the National Forest was pretty straightforward. I thought that the website was well organized and the numbers for contacts were readily available for national forests. When it comes to national wildlife refuges, Hagerman is one of those weird kind of exceptions where there isn't a general rule. So for deer, feral hog, and turkey, Texas Parks and Wildlife manages the lottery draw system with that $3 application, but there is another unit called the Nocona unit that can be accessed with the $48 APH permit. Last but not least, we have Texas Parks and Wildlife's drawn hunts. These are a separate category altogether than the big-time Texas hunts. They're very well organized. You can look by species, property type, and also by specific area if you know of a WMA near you. Pay close attention to the dates provided, the means and methods, and whether baiting is allowed. Make sure that the date range that the hunt actually falls in you can actually make. Some of them are a little bit weird, like Monday through Thursday or Friday through Monday, things like that. Pay close attention to that. For some of these hunts, the application will actually be free, like the e-postcard or the antler list for National Forest. Other applications might be $3, and for private lands, the application might be $10. What's really unique about this is that some of these properties I had never even heard of. It allowed me to Google and get more information on. Other properties I didn't know that specific species actually even lived on, like desert sheep or mule deer or exotics like pronghorn. So it was really eye-opening, and I think that for the minimal cost involved in actually getting a chance at some of those hunts, it's well worth it. Keep in mind, the data is produced for success rates, also how many people typically apply for that, and different requirements. So make sure to really study those and ensure that you are applying for something that you can actually attend and that you are trying to hunt a species that you actually want to pursue. Things to consider. First one is going to be distance. You want to find a property that's close enough that you can scout, you can hunt multiple times throughout the season, and isn't going to require that you take off a lot of time from work or burn unlimited amounts of money on gas and fuel and food going to that place. The second thing to consider is the dates that these properties are actually open. So just because a species is available to hunt statewide throughout the year, like feral hogs, does not mean these properties actually allow you to hunt that specific species year round. So you need to make sure that the dates are going to be available for the type of property that you're actually hunting. The next thing to consider is what type of species you're after. Keep your expectations realistic when it comes to species. Do your research, look into it further, and make sure that the species is not only in that area but also available to hunt. The next thing you need to consider are the means and methods available for take. Some properties are going to be archery only, and this might vary for the species. So keep your expectations realistic. Do your research within those pages and those resources to find out not only what species are available, but what method you might be able to take those animals with. This is a big one, and it's licensing. Find out what type of license you need. Sometimes you might only need your $25 hunting license, so make sure you keep that in mind, do your research on that, and find out what you actually need to hunt the property that you're trying to approach. One of the biggest objections people have to hunting public land is the idea of pressure. So pressure is going to vary, not only depending on the region, but also the time in the season. So if you're near a big market like, let's say, Dallas or Houston, the properties within 1 to 3 hours might see a lot more pressure than a property that's 5 to 6 hours away from the nearest big market. Pressure throughout the season tends to vary. So around opening days are going to see the highest pressure. Also the weekends, so Saturdays and Sundays, might see higher pressure than, let's say, a Tuesday evening or a Thursday morning. So you need to keep those in mind, but pressure should not be a limiting factor when it comes to wanting to get out and hunt public land. Okay, so for gear, the good news is that you won't have to invest a whole lot more into the gear that you would use for public land that you might have already used for private land. Get you a good pair of boots. These will help tremendously, especially if you're doing a lot of walking. You want them to keep your feet dry. You want to allow them to keep your feet warm. If you do decide to wear snake boots or rubber boots, those offer different layers of protection just depending on what you anticipate to actually happen. A kill kit. So this has a bunch of knives. It has my license. It has an extra charger. It has a pen in it, and this would be, hanging on the outside of my pack. And the purpose of this is that if I was to shoot an animal, this would be easy to access, get my animal tagged, and get legal before I actually start trying to field dress or remove the carcass from public land. GPS or compass. You can even use the one on your phone without a cell signal. Just flip your phone into airplane mode and download maps before you actually head out. Let's take a quick second and just talk about safety. There are some things that you're going to want to do, things that you're going to want to have that are going to help you should you get into a sticky situation or should you find yourself injured. You don't want to end up getting lost or having to spend a night out in the woods. I've done it and it's not very fun. Let people know where you're going. I send GPS coordinates to family and friends that I know aren't going to blow out my hunting spot. The more people that actually buy a hunting license, the more people that buy the APH permit, the more revenue that's generated from the drawn hunts, the more money that the state has when it comes to actually acquiring and keeping properties. So it's an added benefit. It really does help us all enjoy nature and recreate and help improve habitats within our state. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. If you liked what you saw today, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I'll be producing future content that are similar to this that hopefully serves as a tool to help expand your education and allow you to access more properties and hunt more species in the future. Thank you so much.